I'm feeling a bit jazz today, which sometimes happens, and I'm also feeling in the mood for a nice lick, so I have for you today a nice jazz lick. It goes like this. Oh yes, that's nice. So we have a nice lick, but it's really an entire jazz blues solo based on a single lick. Now this is similar in concept to a couple of lessons I did a while back where I looked at a blues solo and a country solo based on one lick. It's exactly the same thing happening here. I'm taking a simple jazz phrase, then I'm transposing it and adapting it to fit a chord progression. And that's actually a really good idea to give your solos some kind of flow and meaning. Now, I'd hesitate to call myself a proper jazz player simply because I very rarely get out and play jazz with other people, and that's really what jazz music is all about. But I do enjoy listening to jazz. I enjoy practicing jazz, and jazz is the place I go to when I want to challenge myself as a guitar player, when I want to learn something new. And I've definitely found that working on jazz has really helped me become a better player all round. So I want to encourage all of you to have a go at this lick. It's not too difficult to play, and even if you know nothing about jazz, even if some of the theory stuff is a little bit over your head, have a go, learn it anyway. You might enjoy it and you might open up your ears to some new and exciting things. So let's take a look at this lick. So what we're dealing with here is a jazz blues in the key of B flat, and jazz players love the key of B flat, and I think I should just start by describing the chords that I'm outlining with this particular solo. As I say, it's a jazz blues, and a jazz blues usually differs a little bit from a standard 3-chord blues type of blues, as it were. So there are quite a few different ways of doing this, and jazz players, being jazz players, do like to complicate things and throw in loads of substitutions and extra chords. So I'm not going too crazy here, but this is the basic chord progression that I'm playing over. So we're starting off with the 1 chord, which is a B flat 7. Then we've got the 4 chord, E flat 7, back to the 1 chord. Then we're going again to the 4 chord, E flat 7. Back to the 1 chord again. And so far it's exactly like a normal blues, but it's in the last part that things start to get a bit more complex and jazzy. And what happens next is I'm going to a G7, and this is the 6th chord in the key of B flat, the 6th kind of dominant chord. It's, technically it's a secondary dominant here, but I don't want to go into all of that stuff right now. But we've got basically a bar of G7, and then we go to C minor 7, F7, and then back home to B flat 7, and then you can throw in a bar of F7 to take it round again to the top. So it's just in those last 4 or so bars that things get a bit more jazzy and a bit more interesting. We've got that, say, G7, and that's setting up a 2-5-1 to bring us back home again. So this C minor 7, F7, B flat 7 is the 2-5-1, probably the most common chord progression or chord cadence in jazz. So that's cleared that up. That's the chords we're dealing with here. Now let's get on to this lick and get on to this solo. And I'm going to start by showing you the basic lick, which is very simple indeed. It goes like this. We've got and the reason this lick is so effective and so powerful is that we're really clearly outlining the chord. In this case it's a B flat 7, and very often when I'm playing jazz I'm going to be thinking about chord tones and really describing the chords that we're playing over rather than thinking in terms of scales, and this lick is perfect for that. It's really all based around this B flat triad shape. So we've got the root is B flat here, 8th fret on the D string, then we've got a D, and an F. So B flat, D, F, that's the root third and fifth of B flat. The lick is actually starting on a G, which is the sixth in relation to B flat. So I'm playing the sixth, coming down chromatically to the fifth, which is this F, and then the third and the root, and then coming down chromatically again to this A flat note, which is the flat 7. So in terms of the function of all of these notes, we've got the sixth, down to the fifth, third, and then the root, down to the flat 7. It's perfectly describing that B flat 7 sound. So it's a nice lick. It's a lick that I've played for a long time. I'm not absolutely sure where I got it from. I don't think it's an original lick. It's something I've heard quite a lot of jazz players do. I may well have got it from Joe Pass or somebody like that. Let's just talk about the timing of this lick, because this is interesting too. I'm hearing this lick as starting on beat 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3. So coming in on beat 4 as a kind of anticipation. The other thing you might try is throwing in some pull-offs as well. So I like to throw in a pull-off here, and maybe here as well. And that sometimes helps with the swing feel, I think. Sometimes if you place a pull-off so you're pulling off into a strong beat, it serves to emphasize the swing when you're playing jazz. So that's our lick. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this lick through the jazz blues progression just by transposing it, adapting it, and playing around with it so that it becomes a kind of motif or theme of this little solo. So the first bar is this. Then the harmony is moving to E flat 7, the 4 chord in the second bar, and I'm just going to move the same lick to here so that it works over the 4 chord. And I'm starting at the 8th fret on the high E string, coming down to the 6th fret, and then I've got 8th fret on the B and the G, and then coming down to the 6th fret on the G. And in relation to the E flat root of the chord that we're playing over, that the function of all of these notes is exactly the same. We're starting on the 6th, 5th, 3rd, root, flat 7. So you could think about this lick as being based on an E flat triad. So we've got the B flat chord tones, the E flat chord tones. So, and then we're back to the 1 chord to the B flat. And the second time I'm coming down through the lick, and then back up again. I'm just playing root 3rd and 5th, so I'm ending on this F note. And another thing that's nice about the timing of this lick, because you're coming in on beat 4, it actually means that you're anticipating and telegraphing the chord change a little bit. You're coming in thinking E flat 7 on the last beat of B flat 7, and that's a really good way of giving your solo a bit of momentum and make it sound like you're really anticipating the changes rather than just panicking and reacting to them when they come along. So let's continue then. We're back to the 4 chord now, at the E flat 7. I'm just going to play the same lick, and then I do this. So this is exactly the same notes, but I'm playing it an octave lower. So this is still E flat 7, but I'm starting on this C note here at the 5th fret on the G string, coming down to B flat, G, E flat, D, D flat. Exactly the same lick as we played here. And we're coming back to the 1 chord again. But this time we're ending differently, and that's because we're now going to this 6 dominant chord. So we're going from 1 to 6, and the lick is going. So I'm coming down the lick as I normally do until I reach the A flat. Then I'm just going up 1 fret at a time until I reach this B note here. And this B note happens to be the 3rd of the G7 chord. So that's a nice note to target and to highlight that chord change. And then we're into the last 4 bars. Now we've got the 2-5-1, so it's C minor 7, F7, B flat 7, and I'm playing this. That's what I'm playing over the C minor 7 to F7. So this is again our lick, but I've just tweaked it to make it minor now. So I'm starting on A, going down to G. Then I've got an E flat here, which is the minor 3rd of the C minor 7, and then I've got C, B flat, and that's the flat 7, and ending it slightly differently. I'm going so I've just got G, B flat, C, and then we're going to the F7, so I'm playing A and F. It's the 3rd and the root of the F7. And then back home to the 1 chord, and this is where I just depart from the 1 lick concept. I'm really just playing a bit of a blues lick to round this solo off. So we've just got E flat to F, then hammering on to the D note there, and then coming down the B flat arpeggio, really, B flat, F. I've got a kind of blues scale thing, so E flat, D flat, E flat to F, and then finally D and B flat to finish off. Tab for this will be up on my Patreon page if that would be helpful to you. So that's about it for this little solo. Why don't I play through the entire thing nice and slowly for you. There's one other thing that I did at the top of this lesson that you might like to try and add in, and that is when you have little rests in the phrasing, I just sometimes introduced some chords just so I could outline the harmony a bit more clearly. So I think I was doing little 3-note chord shapes on the D, G and B string, so you can just try interjecting a bit of that, especially when you're playing on your own. That sounds good if you can mix up a bit of rhythm and the solo at the same time. Anyway, here's the entire solo for you nice and slowly. 1, 2, 3. The guitar I'm using today, if you're interested, is my Vox Virage, which is a lovely guitar that I should probably use a bit more often than I actually do. And I've had this guitar several years. I got it off of eBay for a bargain price, and I think I'm right in saying that this is an original Vox Virage. I think it's been through several different incarnations, but this is one of the original single cutaway Vox Virage guitars. Seems to work quite well for jazz. It's not a true semi-acoustic, but it's got this F hole and this kind of tone chamber, so you can get some of those nice resonant jazz archtop kind of sounds from it. And the unique thing about this guitar is actually the pickups, and each of these two pickups is controlled by a three-way switch. So in theory you can get humbucker and P90 and single coil sounds all from the same guitar. So it's a very versatile guitar, tonally speaking. And also got flat wound strings on this guitar too, which I don't have on any of my other guitars. So that makes it well suited to jazz and to other kind of retro sounds, and it gives me some interesting tonal options that I don't have on any of my other guitars. No pedals today. This is jazz and pedals aren't allowed in jazz. And amp wise, I'm just going into my Vox AC30. So that's it for today. I hope you found this video interesting and helpful. The tab, should you need it, will be up on my Patreon page. And if you're new to this channel, you might like to check out some of my other videos. I've done not loads of jazz stuff, but there are a few other jazz lessons there. I remember I've done a couple of detailed Charlie Christian lessons, which you might be interested in, and there are a few other jazz licks and things to be found. You can search this channel or you can have a look on my website. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I shall see you next week. Bye bye.